I'm Steve Fall. But on today's edition, we're going to get a little freaky diggy here. I'm talking to Vincent. Vincent, how are you doing today?
Oh, hello, everybody. I'm doing great. How are you, man?
I'm
Thanks for
doing,
having me.
oh man, I'm doing great. I feel a little beer jealousy right now. I'm feeling a
Oh yeah,
little,
well, this is years, and this isn't even all the way, combed out. It's kind of a mess right now, actually. I don't know. I'm a pretty unkept dude, I guess.
I guess so, right? But that's okay. In the world of wrestling, obviously, looks can be deceiving, and it seems that yours is a little deceiving. Where you seem like a very nice gentleman. Am I gonna
Thank
blow
you.
your spot? Am I gonna blow your
Well,
spot?
thank you. No, that's part of the charm, I guess.
I guess so. I think people really want to know though the beginning. How did you get into wrestling? Was it a friend, a family member? Were you channel surfing?
My family has always been, big into wrestling, especially when I was a kid. My aunt, I'll give credit to my aunt Donna, who, God rest her soul, she passed away, but she was the big wrestling fan, huge wrestling fan. She loved Bret Hart, man, like Bret Hart, everything, Bret Hart T-shirt. And it's funny because the story with her was she was how she became a wrestling fan. To be honest, was said she was flicking through channels and stopped on the TV because she saw Bret
Wow.
and like fell in love with him and became a huge wrestling fan after that. But it was always Bret Hart, everything, you know what I mean? So my aunt Donna was responsible for that. I grew up in like just outside Providence, Rhode Island area. And over there, they had the Dunkin' Donuts Center, which used to be the Civic Center, and they would run events all the time. And like my grandmother lived on right down the street from there, Federal Hill, and she lived in an apartment there. So we'd all meet up. It would be like me, my two cousins, my aunt Donna, my father, my uncle Anthony. It would be a bunch of us meet up at my grandmother's, have pizza, and walk to the Dunkin' Donuts Center because it was right down this road. And there's a couple moments and things that I remember from that arena specifically. And we used to go to every single event. And I remember, I was big Ultimate Warrior fan when I was a kid, and I loved Undertaker too, and the Rockers, all that stuff. But I remember being, had the face paint tassels on my arms, and it was Undertaker versus Ultimate Warrior.
Wow.
And I remember Undertaker putting the Warrior in. It was a house show.
This was
I
90.
remember,
This is gonna be 91 then.
yeah, somewhere
Yeah.
around that. And I remember Taker putting Ultimate Warrior in the body bag. And at the end, Ultimate Warrior like ripped open the body bag and like, boom, and crowd's going nuts. And I'm just on my cousin Tony's shoulders as a little kid, just loving this. And then I also went to the '94 Royal Rumble with Taker when they did the thing on the screen. And
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like I always loved it since I was a little kid. But my aunt Donna is probably responsible for me becoming a huge fan. But I've been a fan since, I was born in '86. So I mean, the second that I was able to comprehend what I was watching, yeah.
I was gonna say I was born in '85, so we have the same, I think,
Okay,
gauge. I started
sure,
watching in '92,
sure.
so just like, and I'm a local boy as yourself, so I would go to all these events at the Boston Garden when there was
Right,
nobody in the arenas because
right,
of just the popularity of wrestling at
right,
that time was dwindling after steroid trials, and
right,
I didn't know that as a kid. I
right,
have
right, right,
no idea. I'm like, oh, there's Bret Hart, there's Shawn Michaels, there's
right,
Macho
right.
Man, there's Jake.
Sure.
In today's world, obviously, everyone grasps on to what's happening backstage versus what's happening in front. And I want to talk to you about a lot of things that have been going on backstage involving Ring of Honor. And you were a huge part of Ring of Honor. You started in 2012. And how did that even come to be? Because you look at pictures of yourself now and look at
Yeah,
pictures
yeah.
of yourself then,
Crazy. Yeah,
I
yeah,
would
yeah.
say it would be like, I'm sorry, is that his brother? Like,
Yeah,
is that someone who's related to him?
just a
So
young
how'd that get
young
going?
guy trying to figure it out, man. That's all it was. So the Ring of Honor stuff kind of started happening. Like I trained with Spike Dudley over at the Lockup Academy in Fall River, Mass. And that was kind of like my home base, Top Rope Promotions for years, just to kind of get my feet wet and like learn, get to work with a bunch of different people and just learn, what I'm doing. And I started kind of going to the Ring of Honor tryouts. So I started with Spike probably in 2009. So I started going, I went to my first tryout probably, I'd say probably the end of 2010 was my first Ring of Honor tryout. I went to two of them and then three of them. And then they ended up calling me to do the Rhino 30 seconds. He gored me out of my boots in 30 seconds in Baltimore, at the Burns Arena when they used to run there. And that was my first ever like TV moment. 30 seconds, killed by a rhino. And I was like, okay, this is going to be one of the greatest gores you're ever going to see. I'll do my best, but it was cool, man. And like, I loved it. And then like, I started getting kind of, being put with certain guys that could kind of like, help me out, as well as like, I was enhancement talent for whatever they needed, so, but I was able to get a lot of experience with a lot of different guys working on like, random TVs in Baltimore, Philly. Like I'd be one of the guys that like when they came to that Philly, Baltimore, Rhode Island, Mass, all that kind of stuff, I'd kind of be like, usually that I'd be used around that time.
Okay.
I kind of disappeared from wrestling for a little bit in 2000, end of 2000, 13 into 14. I just got frustrated, like with myself. No one's fault, you know what I mean? Nobody's fault except my own.
Were you frustrated of the positioning of yourself and where
Well,
you were going?
I just felt like I wasn't kind of moving along the way I wanted to be, just in my career in general, not like a specific somewhere, just in general. I just felt like kind of plateaued, and I'm getting frustrated with myself. So I kind of, I got married, had a daughter and stuff, bought a house and all that other stuff, and got all that out of the way. But then once that kind of settled down, I was like, something just feels like it's missing. I gotta, I just missed it, and it's just what I do, and one of the only things I know, because I put so much time into it, man. And I went back to I got into the best shape I've probably ever been in 2015, went to another tryout, and then they had put me in a match against Jay Lethal for the Ring of Honor World Championship in 2015. Was just kind of like, to me, it was like kind of like a trial match kind of thing to see what's going on.
Yeah.
And then in 2016 is when I officially got, signed to Ring of Honor, and I was there all the way until, the recent events, that occurred in, 2021 or whatever.
Right. So October 21st, 2021, Ring of Honor announces it's going to go on hiatus after Final Battle in December.
Yeah, on the same phone call we're having right now, similar.
Yeah, I imagine. And with the return being announced to appear in April 2022, obviously that did not happen. But were you aware of the plans Ring of Honor had to reimagine the brand, or you're kind of being told one thing while someone else is being told another thing, and you're talking to friends, piecing it all together?
No, man. I mean, I really didn't know anything, and no one really did. I mean, we got told that like, hey, like, everybody's getting cut. And then, they did mention like, oh, we're going to try to rebrand things and make it a little different and have our presentation a little different, or whatever they meant by that. But it didn't really go any further than that. You know what I mean? And, by that point, then the sale ended up happening. So it's just, we really didn't have that much information. You know what I mean? The information that we got is just about as much as like anybody else already knows. Right. We didn't get any like other inside scoops of anything. They just said, oh, right, we're gonna not renew anybody's contract, and we're gonna try to rebrand something in April or come back with something different. And there was talks about like a YouTube stream thing, like, and it just got quiet. And then like the sale happened, and whatnot. So I mean, honestly, it's the sale is the best thing that could ever happen to Ring of Honor, because it's either that or it just goes away forever. So I think if anything, like, way to go, because it was saved, and it gives people a place to work and more, you know what I mean, and kind of like gave it a real big boost, and put it really back on the map pretty fast, and pretty it's, to me, I think it's pretty cool, that it turned out that way. You know what I mean? I'd hate to see it like not anything happen to it. So it's pretty kudos to Tony and AEW kind of like bringing it all back, and even better, you know what I mean, in my opinion, everything, like I think the rebranding of the new logo, I really love the new logo look. That was really cool. And honestly, it was really cool to be a part of the recent pay-per-view, and defending the 6-man tag titles. I thought that was really cool of them to like have us come in and do that, and whatnot. So it was real cool. So I'm happy that it's in the where it is.
Of course, but when you were told, hey, we're not going to renew your contract or release you, how much time was actually on your contract when they told you this?
I had a whole another year. So I was my contract ended up expiring in that March.
Okay.
So that April 1st show, that like literally April 1st is when my contract like expired, because they gave the people who are up before that, they didn't, renew, and then there were people that did have a year, they gave the extra, like whatever it was, couple months or whatever before, March. So in March I expired. But yeah, it was crazy. It was shocking. I didn't know like what to do. I mean, and if I'm being truthful, man, I mean, I really don't know what else I would do. I don't picture myself doing anything else. So it's kind of like, yeah, it was tough, and but things happen. What are you gonna do? You gotta kind of pick up and move forward,
Of
and
course.
work
Uh,
hard for you to do your thing the best you can.
Obviously things did change for you because at Hard to Kill January 8th, 2022, you made your Impact debut. You appeared along Maria, Mike Bennett, PCO, Matt Taven. Honor No More was born. Now, obviously, that name is a play on Ring of Honor because everyone recognized that group of people, that core group, coming
Mm-hmm.
from Ring of Honor. And if you were aware of reading the internet and reading the news, you knew these contracts all expired. Clearly, you weren't waiting until April to see what was going to happen next. You joined Impact. Now, how did this deal come together? And did you want to come in by yourself, or coming in as a group was safer, you think, for each of you?
I mean, to be honest, if I'm being completely honest with you, like I like loved the Righteous, like thing that we're doing, myself, Bateman, and Dutch. I wish that could have continued longer because it was going to be pretty awesome. Like we were going to do a whole thing with Jay Lethal, where Jay Lethal joins the group, and there's this whole like kind of wild thing moving forward. And we just started getting into that, and I don't know if you even watched the tail end of the Ring of Honor, but like we had just started to get into that. Like at Final Battle, the last Final Battle was supposed to be myself versus Jay Lethal,
Mm,
which starts the story. But obviously, we got the news before that, so everything kind of changed. There's
yeah.
no point doing it at that point. Yeah, I mean, like at the end of the day, like it would be cool to have went in there as the Righteous into Impact, because I do think that like that specific vision is hasn't even scratched the surface of what it could be. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So I think it would be very interesting there. But I at the end of the day, it's like that I went there and they allowed me to, so I'm very grateful. So it's not that, you know what I mean. So it all worked out regardless. At the end of the day, you know what I mean. So it's still cool. Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
yeah. Locker room's really great. Locker room's great there. Everybody was very kind of like welcoming. Nobody was not welcoming there. It was kind of cool.
right. And an emergence on August 12th, this
Right.
could all be over because Honor No More is taking the Bullet Club. If Honor
It
No
could
More
be.
wins, they get a tag team championship match. If
Right.
they don't win, they have
We
to break
disband.
up. They
Yeah.
disband. So in reality, disbanding could splinter off so many storylines, but staying together could get the tag team gold with Honor No More. So in
Right.
reality, it's like, which one
Well,
do
that's the cool.
you
That's the cool
want?
thing about it too. Is like if we lost, like we disband, it's interesting. If we win and we stay together, it's interesting. So it's just like either way is still like an interesting whatever road we end up taking here, win or lose. But I think it would be definitely interesting to see, because I think like everybody in the group, whether in a group or by themselves, are would be fine. You know what I mean? Would be able to do some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what happens. Obviously, this will be a
For
a, a big
sure.
a big match to tune into.
Emergence this weekend, Chicago. Everybody
I'm
out.
I will be watching. I'll be talking about it. I'll be recapping it.
Awesome.
I'll either be super sad or super happy. I guess we'll decide how I feel during that matchup. Uh, but like you got to go back to like on January 10th of 2022, Ring of Honor announced Super Card of Honor would take place on April 1st. This is 2 days after your Impact debut. This is all supposed to happen. So, like, were you surprised that Ring of Honor announced this event with no TV, with no deal, with no Tony Khan involved? It was Sinclair Broadcasting. They really, I feel like, dropped the ball with Ring of Honor multiple times.
Yeah. For Sinclair Broadcasting, absolutely. And like, I don't think I was like, because we kind of knew that, like, because they mentioned like we were going to do something in April, like going forward. So I wasn't like totally shocked
Mm,
to see it or anything. But yeah, man, there was a lot of things that I could have thought. I thought could have been a little different there under the Sinclair banner, but like I said, like what's going on with it now is like what should be going on with it. You know what I mean? It's been really great as of late. You know what I mean? It's been since that whole transition. It's been awesome. Like even like being there at the pay per view at Death Before Dishonor, there it was just like a totally like different vibe. It was like hell yeah, like Ring of Honor is back. You know what I mean? And it had
yeah.
like a good feeling of like, oh, this is great to be here. It feels like I'm at Ring of Honor. You know what I mean? It was just like I had a totally different vibe, but it was cool, man. But yeah, they could have done a lot of different things, but like that's why they ended up in the place that they're in. So you know what I mean with
Right.
Sinclair.
You just think a
So,
broadcasting company who owns a wrestling company, who owns multiple stations,
right,
maybe could get their act together and
figure it out.
have a plan of, oh, we own this company, maybe we should do something with it. As an Access TV
Sure,
owns Impact Wrestling, so
sure.
what do? They promote it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Commercials. They know where to
Oh, they
watch
always
it.
do it. Yeah.
Their hashtag is hashtag Impact on Access TV. Like there's branding there.
And they do the cool like they do that before the impact thing like before
Yes.
so like recaps of like in the past or just whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, it's real cool. They make it like its own uh it'd almost be like if you turned on like a Netflix and it was all a wrestling company. It's almost like that for that specific channel, if that makes sense. Like you turn it on, it's like all history and then recap, and then
Yeah.
you go into like whatever this week's show is. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
kind of yeah, I think it's cool how they do that. And the BTIs are really cool how they do that, and they
Mm-hmm.
they market that YouTube following, so that's cool too. Yeah, they do a pretty good job as far as like all that, keeping up keeping people up to speed with what's going on, I
Yeah.
guess.
You did bring up Ring of Honor's past because obviously the library is the most
Uh,
profitable piece of this. Now, Tony Khan on March 2nd, 2022 announced that he was purchasing Ring of Honor, and everyone was like, oh my God, this is awesome because the past of Ring of Honor needs to be, I guess, saved. Because if you suddenly decide to purchase it just for, say, the library, well, another company might not utilize it in the way some fans want. They want to see the matches. They want to go back and watch AJ Styles from the beginning. They want to go back and watch Samoa Joe versus CM Punk, the Summer of Punk. Like
sure.
these are moments that a
Yeah.
lot of fans remember, grew
Still
up
talk.
on, and at one point when we had WWE as the main company, Impact and Ring of Honor kind of were at each other's throats a little bit because of deals being made with both companies. Well, who
Right.
gets who and who gets what, who gets to keep the wrestlers. So it's great to see Tony Khan now owns it. And you mentioned that you are very happy that this has happened for Ring of Honor.
I
And
do.
is it because I guess the library is the most valuable part of the
Yeah,
brand?
yeah. This is the whole thing in general. You know what I mean? You'd hate to see something like with so much history, from then all the way to like when I was there. You'd hate to see that just kind of like disappear or whatever, or not know what's going to happen to it. So like it's really cool that he took that and and purchased it and then like created almost that like with the brand, with the logo, with the new feel to it, almost created like a historic like feel to the new version of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's cool. It's cool, man. I'm really happy that that happened.
And
You know.
it's even crazier that you, a wrestler who is associated with Ring of Honor, but have been an Impact for most of 2022. Death Before Dishonor, July 23rd in Lowell, Mass. I was there live. It was a great event. And when we were getting to that event, suddenly they're announcing matches, and your face pops up on a graphic, and I'm like, what in the world is happening here? Because
Yeah.
for so long, it just felt like the people who were who had Ring of Honor contracts, Tony Khan obviously kept them, and I don't know, they were like Grisham and other characters were going on different shows defending the Ring of Honor belts.
Mhm.
And yet here you are, trios champion, a 6-man title in Ring of Honor, are defending it here unsuccessfully, unfortunately. But yet, how does that work out when who contacts you and says, hey, we want you to be on our AEW Ring of Honor show, pay-per-view?
I mean, it was something that I kind of knew that was going to end up coming because I mean, we did hold the Ring of Honor six-man tag titles at the time, so it's like um, when I got contacted, it was cool because I mean, it's just like they didn't just say like, "Hey, give us our belts back and see you later." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It was cool. It honestly is like if you think about it, they could have done that if they wanted to, but it's cool of them to be like, no, we want the whole group to come here and defend the six-man tag titles on the pay-per-view. That to me was just a cool gesture. You know what I mean? To be able to contact us and want us to be a part of that, because they didn't have to. If they don't want to, they don't, have to. They could just say, hey, give us our belt back and then, whatever. But they went about it the right way, and it was cool for us because it, kind of, it was cool for me, Dutch and Bateman and Vita, because it's like, it's been since, we did some independent stuff here and there, but like sometimes it was like, me and Bateman would only be on, I'd be in California with Bateman and we tag on a show, or I go to New York and I'm tagging with Dutch and Vita's there. And then sometimes I'm just on a show with Vita managing me. But this show, it was like the whole crew is back together, with our, the original music we used, the whole thing, so it was kind of like, it was a real kind of like special night for all of us to just kind of be involved and being able to like defend those, you know what I mean? And like, everybody kind of working together as far as like, Impact, allowing, me to do that was awesome, so it was cool. It was cool. Everything kind of just like went so smoothly and everybody was so cool about it. So I'm glad that kind of went the way it did. It was a great show too.
Yeah.
The crowd is, I love Lowell. So I've wrestled in Lowell plenty of times, especially at the, Ring of Honor used to run the Memorial Auditorium there. And that building's like awesome. The people there are crazy. Every time you go in there, it has that, so it was a good, full of energy crowd there. So I love Lowell. I love
Say,
wrestling.
is Lowell the auditorium? I was there. I think I was a kid when Shawn Michaels lost his smile.
It is, yeah.
I was there. I was there as a little kid.
A
So
lot a lot of wrestling history in that building, man. It's
yeah.
it's cool. That's where we won the six-man tag titles for the second time when we're in the Kingdom there, and in the Lowell with SCU, I think it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a cool place. But yeah, man, it was cool. Everybody kind of worked together and allowing us to kind of do that. It was cool, and the other guys were pumped too. So it was just cool. It was like a good night, man. It was good.
So could we see you though on more AEW run Ring of Honor shows? Could we see more? Could you see you on AEW Dynamite Rampage?
I have no idea, man, because wrestling's just crazy. I didn't think that like when all that stuff, happened with Ring of Honor in October and stuff, when we all kind of like didn't get renewed or anything, and we kind of like got all the news. If you had asked me at that point that you're going to be at Impact in January, I would have said like, "Oh, you're crazy." If you asked me like, "Are you going to be Impact?" This weekend in Chicago at Emergence, or I would never even then think that. But it's just like that's kind of like the fun of it to me, I guess, is like the thrill of like you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like keep that interesting to me. It can be scary sometimes, but it's very interesting because like a week from now you could be doing something different, or you could be somewhere else, or you could it's just and it's wild time right now in wrestling. It's crazy, but it's good, you know what I mean? Because I see a lot of like people that I love kind of like popping up everywhere, you know what I mean? A lot of guys are just kind of popping up everywhere, so it's like it's good that there's so much out there to keep everybody busy, and a lot of people can make a living off of what they like to do. So it's hard to say, man. I guess I could show up anywhere sometimes. Right now I'm at Impact, but like who knows, because wrestling just like that change, like it's just like it happened, it's just crazy, unpredictable, very unpredictable.
Yeah, a crazy roller coaster because
But like
there are so many companies.
it is, but like I said, like that's part of it. I think that's so interesting. That kind of keeps you interesting. It's just like, wow, you did this last year, and now you're doing this. Wow, that's wild. You know what I mean? It's just a wild ride, man. It's kind of cool.
Obviously, with Ring of Honor back and you have AEW, your character fits in my brain a WWE type a Bray Wyatt, a Mankind, Undertaker, very
Right.
different. Your presentation is completely different. Has the WWE ever go like, hey, we want you in the entire package that you're presenting?
I haven't really. See, the thing is, I haven't really been able to talk to anybody there ever. Or nobody's ever, because I've always been kind of somewhere like
Right.
the
Your
like even
contract.
right, even with the evolution of the character during. I mean, it took a while to kind of like evolve. Like you said earlier, like the person that first started doing Ring of Honor compared to now is like night and day.
Yeah.
And I show people old pictures of me, they're like, "What?"
Right.
you
Like,
know?
this isn't
Yeah,
you.
yeah. You know what I mean?
Uh,
Even like my wife will look at that and be like, "Wow, look at you. That looks
ah,
amazing." Like,
is that a
but
good thing or a bad thing?
man,
Is she like shave the beard off? What are you doing?
it's a good thing because I feel like that was always like my struggle in wrestling is like I always kind of like struggled to find. I always wanted to try something different and do something different. And I always kind of struggled like finding like what worked for me and what made me comfortable and who I was. You know what I mean? But it kind of like obviously I'm a huge horror fan and true crime fan and all that stuff. So like I remember like how it started like when I used to do the mask and the balloons and stuff in Ring of Honor. I remember like my wife was the one who's like, "You love horror. Why don't you like wear a mask or something? Like you love horror and everything, pro wrestling. Why don't you do some of that?" And it kind of like just kind of gave me the idea, and I just kind of like snowballing from there, and just kind of kept trying different stuff. You know what I mean? Now it's just evolved into what you see now, but um, and I always keep trying to like outdo myself and in different ways. And I'm always like thinking of different creative things that I could possibly do. You know what I mean? That just kind of stand out for the character in that realm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. Like I think that's a lot of fun, especially when you like figure something out that kind of it's cool and it like works for a little bit, but then it doesn't. You try something new, and it's fun. You know what I mean?
I think like
Uh,
a cult leader type character. You come off as a presentation. If I didn't know anything about you and I saw a picture of you and someone was like, "Oh, who's this?" I'm like, that guy clearly looks like he's a leader of some sort of faction, a group." And you've
right,
done that multiple times, so it's like it's
right,
not foreign to you. And
right.
being a horror fan as well, like it feels like Michael Myers leading the way with other horror characters following him.
Yeah, and it's like the big inspiration was like myself and Dutch and Bateman. We love the movie Devil's Rejects, so like that kind of like grittiness is kind of what we're going for. And then we did like the white when we were doing so like the white came from like when Ring of Honor was doing the pure, like everything was pure wrestling for a little bit there. So we were like, we're not pure wrestlers. We're like, we're like, oh well, we'll be pure, we'll grow with it, but we'll say, excuse me, we'll say we'll purify ourselves. So we wore the all white and we're doing this whole thing, but
Yeah.
it was cool. And that was kind of gonna lead into like, Lethal doing the pure wrestling with Gresh and like doing this whole thing. And that's where like kind of, that whole thing was going to start with Jay, which would have been amazing to just see how that kind of would have panned out, But another thing, who knows, could be revisited eventually, someday. Who knows.
I think this is me hoping that not to disparage honor, but let's break that group up. You get to rule your own faction by yourself as the leader, and let's just redo everything we're supposed to do. Because obviously, in your brain, I can hear your passion about that idea. Like obviously, in your brain, you have the beginning, the middle, and the end. Just find the right players
Right.
and pull it
I just,
off.
right. I just feel like well, like where we were headed, and even like that Ring of Honor pay per view we just did with the whole group together, and like the whole like aesthetic and everything. I just felt like, yeah, man, we're just not. There's so much more to do with this. I feel that way. So like, I'm hoping at some point, like I can at least, you know, kind of bring that out a little more, to some audience that never seen it. I mean, there's definitely audience members at that Ring of Honor show that never even seen the Righteous or what we were about ever. So it's kind of cool to like introduce and always reintroduce it to people that have never seen it,
Right.
you know. So
That's
which is
that's true too. Yeah.
yeah,
Again, I think seeing just you talking to you now and seeing pictures of you like that, there's a presentation there that in my brain is involving lights, smoke, mirrors. Like you clearly have a vision of who you want to be and where you want to go. And I think, at least from what I'm hearing, you got it all planned out in your head. So,
Well, I like being creative, man. You know what I mean? So whenever anybody ever like gives me the opportunity to like be creative with what I have vision, you know what I mean? That's always, it's always great because I always think like if you do that, you kind of get the best version of me. You know what I mean? And I think that goes for most people. You know what I mean? Like I
right.
think everyone kind of wants their own creative freedom, right? Um, so yeah, hopefully, we can see it and even like a different version or evolved version. Maybe it evolves from where it was. Like I don't know, but
We'll have to see.
one of those things unpredictable again.
The roller coaster of wrestling, I
Yeah,
guess.
roller coaster. Yeah, man.
One final question for you, though. What are your goals for the year? Because obviously you've accomplished so much already, and the surprising roller coaster you've been on of, oh, I have a job, I don't have a job, oh, I have a new job, like, oh, Ring of Honor is back. Oh, wait a minute, they want me to work at this event
Yeah.
that's not run by Sinclair. Tony Khan, the
Right,
AEW guy,
right.
owns it now. Like,
Yeah,
there's been so much that has happened to you in the first half of the year.
that's very true. I didn't think of how much has already happened in
It's
this
six,
year.
6, 7 months, 8 months
Yeah,
of your life, 9, 10. It's insane. Like, so, but what are your goals for the
just
year?
happens so quick, man. Sometimes I just like miss it, and I have to actually stop, like you just said it, and like realize, like, oh my god, like lots happened in this year so
Yeah.
far. It's been great. It's been cool. I mean, I don't know, man. Like right now, I'm just kind of like riding the wind and see, you know what I mean? Like I'm having a good time. You know what I mean? We have a lot coming up. We have the Emergence. We have the loop in Chicago coming up. Then we got I think Dallas is next with Impact at the end of the month. So I'm just kind of like doing my thing and enjoying it right now, and just seeing kind of where the deck of cards fall. But like right now I'm having a great time, and like hopefully everybody tunes in for Emergence coming up, Impact, and Chicago. I think it should be great crowd. I like Chicago wrestling. Wrestling in Chicago is always fun. Yeah, but I don't know. It's a hard, like I said, such a hard thing to answer.
Yeah,
Like, I don't
of
really
course.
have like I just kind of go with the flow, man, and see what kind of what happens.
Yeah, that
But
that question's
but
always
it's been
open
fun.
ended.
It's been fun, man, and it's been interesting. You know what I mean? It really has. Like it's crazy. Like I'm standing in an Impact ring and look over, and there's PCO who was with that Ring of Honor before, and then there, you know what I mean? It's just like, well, here we are, PCO, and it's just like wild because it's just wild how like, all right, that all happened, then we meet back up at Impact, and it's like, it's crazy. It's just crazy how it's wild, but it's fun. It's exciting because it's just the different stuff. It's exciting.
It sounds like you got a lot in your head that you got to get out, and I
All
think, and
right.
I think that
I
we
have
need to have someone give you this platform and the blank check to say, go do this.
Yeah, I have a lot in my head, but hopefully it'll kind of start coming out eventually, and I think it will. I think like it's just the thing. You got to be patient. You know what I mean? You just got to be patient, kind of thing. But everything's, right now, I'm grateful to still be able to do what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
At the end of the day, so. Well, we'll see how it goes. Still got a little bit of the year left. We'll
that's
see what
true. So
happens.
get some gas left in the tank, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.